Did you hear about this? In Oklahoma, a judge has ordered Johnson & Johnson to pay up big time, more than $500 million for its role in the opioid crisis that has resulted in thousands of deaths in the state. With more than 2,000 lawsuits currently pending against opioid drug makers and distributors, this is a case that's being watched very closely because it could shape future rulings. Here's Kate Snow with more.
Thank you. Please have a seat.
This morning, a landmark judgment. An Oklahoma judge ruling Johnson & Johnson is responsible for helping fuel the opioid epidemic.
Defendants caused an opioid crisis that is evidenced by increased rates of addiction, overdose deaths, and neonatal abstinence syndrome in Oklahoma.
The judge ordering Johnson & Johnson to pay $572 million for its part in the crisis. It's less than the $17 billion prosecutors had asked for, but for grieving father Craig Box, who testified at the trial, it's still a victory that he hopes sends a strong message to other drug companies.
They knew the addictive qualities of the opioid, and were banking on that, I believe, unfortunately for profit.
Box was blindsided when his son Austin, a standout college football player, died of an opioid overdose. Prosecutors argued that J&J and its subsidiary Janssen Pharmaceuticals aggressively marketed opioids to doctors while downplaying the risks.
We have proven that Johnson & Johnson built its billion-dollar brand out of greed and on the backs of pain and suffering of innocent people.
Johnson & Johnson argued it manufactured a tiny percentage of prescription opioids and called the ruling flawed. The company says it will appeal.
The decision is fundamentally unfair in that it finds Johnson & Johnson responsible for the entirety of the opioid abuse crisis.
Oklahoma initially sued 3 drug companies, but Johnson & Johnson was the only one to go to trial. Purdue Pharma, which makes OxyContin, and Teva Pharmaceuticals both settled out of court and denied any wrongdoing. For parents like Tanya Ratcliffe, who has fostered and adopted children of people with substance abuse issues, this ruling is a huge win.
Healing begins, and hopefully, addiction can be conquered and will be conquered.
That was Kate Snow reporting. This judgment may prompt some pharmaceutical companies to now consider making settlements in their pending lawsuits rather than waiting to see how it all plays out in court.